introduce myself to spice it. Surprise is the best way.
I was walking home at like 9:30 and I was like, yeah, and I was like, I'm gone.
Had to put it down.
I heard all about it.
Wait, what?
Love it down low.
Hi.
You know.
Do you have tons of hair? Yeah. I think so. Come with me. Hannah's dying. Well, she should stay for it. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Well, also trying to
really should get this out of the way. No. No.
I wanted to ask you.
I don't think so. They're left out.
I used my discretion.
Your discretion is advised.
Why?
What's the situation about this are we still happening?
Good man.
I know, like.
Okay, so we're gonna get started. Tech, are we all good?
Okay.
Yeah. Tech, we're good to whatever? Yeah.
Tag.
Yo.
Your body.
Hey.
Okay, so thanks again for everyone doing it for this meeting. Hopefully it won't go too late because I know we're all in exam period. Hopefully you enjoy some pizza to perk you up a little bit. Don't so much that it puts you in a food coma yet, although when the meeting's done we'll be able to do some damage to it. Okay, so as we get started, of course, as always, the Dalhousie Student Union acknowledges that Dalhousie University and the Dalhousie Student Union building are located on traditional, unceded, and unsurrendered Mi'kmaq territory. The Dalhousie Student Union seeks to honor the relational treaty process in all of its programming, events, and meetings. So we'll start with roll call, and again, just make some type of audible recognition just for the minutes. So Kathleen, Rhiannon, Dylan, Amina, Kelsey, Bart, Katie, George Jim,
Audible recognition.
Aaron Shepard, Alex,
Yep.
now here, Raphael, okay, Daniel, Mo, Mackenzie, Mary,
Here.
Shauna,
Here.
Aaron Prosper, Noreen,
Yeah.
Reza, David,
Yes.
Mitchell or Mitch, do you prefer Mitchell or Mitch? Either's good. And Katie Douglas. Okay. So do we have a motion to accept the agenda as circulated? Dylan, thanks, and a seconder on that. Mitch, any questions, discussion about the agenda as circulated, potential amendments before we can adopt it?
Put up on the screen.
I was sent out in the council package.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as circulated? Mary, awesome, and a seconder. Kathleen, thanks. Any opposition to adopting the agenda as circulated? Okay, I'll take that on unanimous consent. So we've got an agenda. Now we need to move to accept the minutes from the 2 previous meetings. Remember, because just our last meeting was an ad hoc meeting just to deal with some policy stuff. So we'll just do these together. So do we have any questions, comments, concerns, or amendments that folks want to make to the 2 sets of minutes that were circulated?
There's a question. He was asking. Sorry, never mind. Okay.
No, we're good?
Just telling her that.
Yep.
Oh.
Thanks.
No worries.
Okay, so just another call. Again, any proposed amendments, changes, questions, or comments to the 2 sets of minutes circulated from our last 2 meetings? Okay, we have a motion to accept the minutes as circulated, both sets. Dylan and a seconder, Amina. Any opposition to accepting the 2 sets of minutes as circulated? Awesome. Seeing that on unanimous consent, I'll take that as passing. Communications received. I got a couple of regrets. Edith, Cassie, Michael, and Alex might have to take off, but she's here with us now, so it's all good. so first items we have on the agenda, so we did put out advertisements to try and fill the last council seats. If there aren't representatives from those constituencies here tonight, then we'll keep doing this and we'll try and put as much pressure as we can so that in the January meeting we can fill these seats. But first we'll start with the joint sort of faculties of health professionals. So do we have somebody from the health professions here?
No.
Okay. So we get a motion to table that one. Rhiannon, and seconded. Mo, perfect. Any opposition to tabling appointment of the health professional rep since there isn't one in the room? Okay, I'll take that on unanimous consent as well, so we'll deal with that in January. Representative for students with disabilities. Rhiannon, do you know who was contacting you for that?
Yeah.
Not you.
Whoever contacted me isn't here.
Okay. So we'll continue advertising. Yeah, sorry.
Representative to people with disabilities, he needs to be recognized on campus as a student with disabilities. So the position is about self-identifying.
Yeah, I think it's self-identified position because I think the policy moving forward will be slightly different. These appointments are just going to be done by council to fill the seats, whereas for the next election cycle, they'll be the like sort of newly amended elections policy for the constituency seats. So right now it's self-identification.
Yeah, well, I was probably for that position.
Sure. Perfect. Now, Rhiannon, you had someone who was keen on also having their name forward for that? Okay, so would you be willing or okay to wait until January so that, because there is one other person who's interested who couldn't make it tonight, so that both students who are interested in that seat for the later of this year can have a chance to speak?
Transparency, fair.
Okay, perfect. So we can put you down, speak with Rhiannon afterwards, because I'll have you go for sure locked in to speak the first January meeting, which I think is the first week back, so let's just
January
jump.
11th.
Yeah, let's jump right in, start in January. Cool, thanks. So otherwise, given that we have, sorry.
I just have a question. For these seats, since there's no specific community groups, maybe I missed this, is it just people that are going to be reaching out to the executive, or is just you've identified them in?
Yeah, so there's been like public, I'll let Rhiannon speak to this, we're doing sort of campus-wide advertising for these positions to try and get as many folks who would fall in that constituency aware of the position being open. The biggest concern now being that we're more than 2/3 of the way through the sort of council cycle, so really the priority just being to fill those seats with someone who in any capacity represents that constituency. So similar to how Mitch was appointed by council, because we needed that seat filled, and there hadn't been anything that had come forward to us after a decent amount of prompting to the residents groups.
So is the priority filling a seat on council, or is the priority getting their opinion heard from that community? I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
it's sort of both, because the bylaws made that we have to have those seats filled. So we're kind of in a position where it's reaching out as often and as regularly as we can to those groups. With faculty staff, it's a bit easier.
There's also no society that represents students with a disability or any type of overarching group. There was like a community meeting held earlier in the year by the E&A office, but that was like the closest thing to something that exists like that.
Okay.
Yeah, one student did reach out though last week, 2 weeks ago, I don't know, about it. And I was under the impression they were going to come tonight, but we can head it off in January.
Okay.
And pushing to January will give more time, Rhiannon, and we can continue trying to be in contact to get folks who might be interested to put themselves forward.
Do you think then it might be helpful for representatives on the council already, especially in faculties, to advertise their position? Because that wasn't related to us.
Yeah.
Okay. We can do that.
Well, that'd be cool now.
So just to move forward administratively tonight, can we get a motion just to table appointing the rep for students with disabilities tonight, and we'll do that in January. So a motion from Alex, and we have a seconder on that. Kathleen, any opposition to tabling that appointment until January? Okay, so none, I'll take that on unanimous consent as well. Last, we have the committee appointments. So Rhiannon, I'll let you intro this committee. The Accessibility Committee that needs 2 counselors and 1 non-counselor member. We can for sure deal with the 2 counselor members and then go from there. So give a quick intro.
So we have a Student Accessibility Fund Committee. Each year we hand out student accessibility money to students with disabilities. It's done in conjunction with the university, so they have a fund and we have a fund, so we've now spent all of the money from the university fund. So now we have to start spending our money. So we're looking to form that committee today so we can get that rolling hopefully before Christmas and start to look at some money from that fund. It's not a big time commitment. We'll probably meet once before Christmas and maybe twice in the winter semester. And yeah, it's just reviewing applications and deciding whether they're warranted.
Okay, and can you just speak to, so you said there's one meeting between now and Christmas?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is one that needs to get, you want at least 2 counselors for tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. So as a reminder, I think most of our counselors are involved in at least one committee, but as a reminder, some of you who may have been appointed further into this year, all counselors are required to sit on at least one committee. So if you're not sitting on any committee currently, now would be a good opportunity to be able to get involved with the committee, one that doesn't meet too frequently come the new year, with the exception of this one meeting. So do we have any counselors who would be interested or willing to sit on this committee? Mitch, awesome. And Noreen? Okay, perfect.
Can I nominate a non-counselor? He's not here to speak.
On there, David's question. Yeah, sure, because you need to be meeting next week.
Okay. Can I nominate Chris Abraham?
We'll do that one after.
Okay.
But yes, that's right. Okay, so Noreen and Mitch, awesome. Thanks for bringing us forward. Anyone else? Just last call. Okay, do we have a motion to accept Mitchell and Noreen's nomination into the Accessibility Fund Committee as the 2 council seats? Okay, so we'll go from Katie and a seconder on the motion, Amina. And any opposition to Mitch and Noreen sitting on the Accessibility Committee? Perfect. Seeing none, I will take that on unanimous consent. Congrats, Mitch and Noreen.
I'd just like to note that the DSU council has no accessibility rep representing that. It's just like as sitting on council right now. So you're creating a committee without having any point didn't go out when he's actually part of that community. So
Yes, so it's a non-council position. Would be one where there'd be an opportunity to have that representative, or that community represented. I'm fairly sure, no one correct me if I'm wrong, the funding all still falls within your ambit as VP. So it's all money that could be distributed absent a full committee, but it's
It's administered. There's a policy for it, so we're not coming up with terms or anything like that for it. We're guided by policy, committee policy. So yeah, we kind of have recommendations. Yeah, but the terms are already established, so it's kind of just yes and no, doesn't meet the criteria.
right.
Yeah, and from a, I think, a priority perspective in terms of the timelines, in order for them to start getting any of the money flowing, the community needs to meet. So it is unfortunately going to have that seat that will be one presumably that council would be interested in. But for the non-council position, that's definitely something if you'd be interested in being a non-member, non-council member.
Well, I mean, I would, but I have a conflict of interest, but I applied for that first June application. But I do have some questions on the delivery of that. My understanding was that according to the application involved, like these bursaries were generally like awarded in 2 terms. Was that changed and is now into 2 years? Or is it because, like, speaking as a student with disabilities, when you're applying for assistive technology or you're applying for expert learning accessibility, it's really difficult as a student with disabilities myself. And when you need assistive technology for exam time or you're trying to get equipment, and then when committees and stuff aren't formed, and representatives aren't even on council, then that makes it really hard for students like us who are trying to get funding. And the registrar's office has already awarded their chunk of money for students with disabilities, and DSU has their own pot for that. I'm quite familiar with this.
Sure. Dylan or Rhiannon, can you speak to just the structure of the timeline of how this committee will distribute funds?
Yeah, so we always wait until the university gives out their money because they have to spend their money to keep it coming in. So we give out their money to make sure that we can get rid of it, and then we give away ours. Unfortunately, it did take longer to give out their pot of money just because of even things like that year. So we've given that out since the last council meeting. and now we need to start giving it hours. So that's the only reason for the delay, but that's why we're trying to get it off the ground right now. And we could have met in the last 2 weeks, and we'd appointed them in the last 3 week ago meeting. But unfortunately, we didn't do that before, so that's my bad. But
And it is also, again, like Dylan mentioned, the committee's guided by a pre-written policy that they didn't have anything crafted. So their interpretation, their sort of vetting of the applications is done in tandem with the sort of policy rules on that interpretation. So it's not an absolute discretionary decision on their part. It's operating within a framework, which does help me intentionally.
Yeah, I understand it's operating in that framework. My understanding, my question is just like, why the delay in forming committees and, you know, why? Maybe I have more questions.
Sure.
But so, the timeline for that, I mean, obviously, speaking, and don't want to the council, that's not my interpretation.
Sure.
I'm just speaking up as a student who has permanent disabilities, who struggles on campus daily, getting things done, and you know, I actually find it extremely disappointing. You don't even regret on council for that.
Yeah, it has been a unique transition year as far as timelines filling the council positions. We've been filling them sort of trickling through since through the summer, and that's in part a product of the bylaw shift and bylaw change in terms of that, not having the elections policy because it needs to be written and drafted by elections, by a policy review committee, which had to be composed of council members, which had to come trickling in. So everything's on a bit of a delay this year. We do appreciate that. I think the intention of this committee, and the two who are sort of chairing the committee can speak to this, the intention right now, or the priority is, without appointing members for this committee tonight, then there won't be money sent out. The actual distribution of funds at all, let alone to whom, is going to be delayed into next term. So the priority is getting at least a committee to meet once for this term. Whether we change the composition of the committee, that can happen by a quick resolution come next term. Once potentially we have somebody representing that constituency, but I think the priority tonight is to get the committee so that it's meeting prior to Christmas can get the ball rolling so there isn't as much of a delay for students receiving their grants. That makes sense.
Yeah, because we're like in September, we're December 7th now, so by the time it even, and we're into exam, so.
But definitely we can look into once the student with disability seat is filled, by just a standing resolution, we can have that person sit on this committee as well if they've got interest in doing so.
Yeah, I always find it, and to be open, I always find it transparent. I find it confused. I still find the registrar's office process and the DSU process confusing.
So that's something I think we can discuss with the committee. We do a big budget thing to get through as well tonight, but I appreciate your voice on those things. No worries.
And the pizza too.
Okay, so we do have our two counselor positions for this committee, Mitch and Noreen. So Dylan, you said there's a non-counselor member of the union who's voiced interest in being on this committee.
Christopher Abraham.
Okay, Chris Abraham. And has he given you anything to speak on his behalf as far as his interest?
Not too much. He's also on my budget and finance committee and the grants committee, so he's familiar with awarding money. Figured he'd be a good fit for this. He knows what's going on.
Okay. And again, the composition of these committees can always change at subsequent meetings. But with that, do we have a motion to accept Chris Abraham as the non-counselor member of the Accessibility Fund Committee? Okay, Sean, and a seconder on that motion? Katie? And all those in favor of Chris Abraham being the non-counselor member of the Accessibility Committee, raise your placards high if you're in favor. Okay, that passes over. So Dylan and Rhiannon, you've got your three names, so you're good to go to that meeting. So, no presentations, but I mean formally so. Dylan's going to speak a little bit before the budget. We're not doing reports from standard committees, and we postponed old business so that we can let folks get out of here and get back to exams in good time. So now we're on to the budget. Okay. Okay. So, hopefully you've all taken a look at the things that I've sent you.
this is a bit of a walkthrough, hopefully just refreshing. If anyone has questions, please don't hesitate. On with the show. Cool. So a bit about the budget process. Sorry, real quick. A bit about the budget process. So the budget runs from April 1st to March 31st every year. So that's when the budget is set before April 15th each year. But this is not that process. This is on the next slide. The budget revision process, which is done before December 15th. Today is December 7th of each year. So I'm bringing this to you under that premise. Cool. So a breakdown of where your fees go. You pay $72.78 to the DSU on your fee payment schedule that's given to you by student accounts, but only 46% of it actually comes to this operational budget that I'm showing you today. The rest goes to a renovations fund that paid for the renovations and will for 25 more years, a facility improvement fund, and a WAC of societies. So, questions on that?
Cool. Oh no.
Oh, wait.
No.
Go to that.
Was it ready?
No.
Do you want me to go with that?
Yeah, you can mute it on the
Yeah.
computer because it's not playing on the thing. It didn't.
Oh god.
It didn't play on my. If you can mute that, that'd be cool. It said media not available. I thought it wasn't going to be included in it. It's look at this photograph by Nickelback, but the photo is out. It's just look at this graph. It's kind of funny. Anyway, it was for society. So this is a graph representation of the same information that you just saw. So we can probably skip over that. Okay, this isn't going to look like anything, but it is the overall budget summary. So I know you probably can't see it. It was included in your council package though. But the most important thing, and the reason I put it on here, is that we maintain a $791 surplus. Yes. So it's basically a balanced budget. It's a $2.7 million budget. It's got a lot of room for error. But
It's the third tab in the Excel document that you have.
yeah, that as well. So we can move on. So we're going to run through a breakdown of the departments. So most of our revenue comes from our revenue department, aptly titled. It's made up of our student fees, our contract income, and our investment income. Administration are the executive offices, council administration, and elections. Services non-revenue are things like our grants, time control, things that don't make money. We're going to go through each of these departments and what's in each one. So you'll see that administration costs us money, services non-revenue costs us money. Services revenue make us a small amount of money. Our food and bar services also make us a small amount of money. Our programming is subsidized, so it loses a bit of money. Our policy, campaign, and communications are just the cost of operating those. And our operations budget, which includes things like insurance and legal fees and stuff like that, all cost us money. So this is a breakdown of our revenue department. Our student fees make up about 1.2 million. Our contract comes in under around 100,000, and our investment basically breaks even with our bank fees this year, which is not great. So it's something we're working on absolutely in the next semester. Our administration fees. So council costs us about $45,000 to run. Our executive offices are a little staggered. You'll notice the president's office is lower this year. That's largely because Kath was VPSL, and so transition didn't cost us money. We weren't paying two people at the same time. It was coming into the other portfolio. So
You're welcome.
re-electing people saves us money, which is great.
Okay.
Yeah, not running for real. And the elections comes in around 15,000. We did manage to increase the CRO pay by $500 this year to 2,000, which hopefully will attract some candidates, but we'll see. So non-revenue services, the services line, I know it's stupidly titled, is our Department 112 on your spreadsheet. So it's our grants and sponsorship, our 24/7 space, and a couple of smaller things. Our member services is the member services office. So this is our member services coordinator, his budget, and what it takes to run that office. The advocacy service is DSAS, so the academic health and student code of conduct, those representatives. And time control is time control. So revenue services, you'll see these are in gray, orange, and yellow. Gray is revenue, orange is expenses, and the off yellow is the net surplus or deficit. So we make money off our reservations. Our campus coffee in the revised budget is now losing money. It had been showing a profit in the original budget, so we had to make up for that money. As well, the farmers market wasn't budgeted to continue into the winter, which was ridiculous. So we had to extend those losses into the winter because we do subsidize it. And the handbook for the first time this year broke even. We brought in as much in advertising as we did as it cost to print. In programming, same deal. Revenue, expenses, and net surplus or deficit. So we are going to lose some money in programming. We subsidize our events to make them accessible to students. Greywood programming is largely funded by our deal with API, so the folks at Keats. So they pay for much of the programming in Greywood. Orientation is showing a small surplus still. So it's supposed to break even. It's never a perfect science, but we expect there's usually a couple of bills that come in after budget time, so it's good to save a little bit of leeway there. And section programming is coming in with a small deficit, but not as large as first forecast because we directed more of the sponsorship money from Keats to the tea room this year, which was great. So food services. Again, revenue, expenses, net. We make money off our food services, so those are our travelers operations, the pizza, the tents, the grill. Our Greywood bar and food both lose money. We make money off bar service events, so those are the events around campus that our bar staff go and work. We're licensed for the whole campus, and we're the only ones that provide bar services. Our bar service invoice loses a bit of money. It's when we sell booze to societies to go and run your own events. There's some fees involved in that. And the tea room loses a little bit of money, which it was not going to, but things change. The policy office this year, it ended up costing us less money because Kaylee left in July and the office went on staff for a couple of months, which helped with the budget. Communications cost us some money. Advocacy and campaigns, those are all of the programming, the materials, the skill development money that you'll see. If you see a reduced tuition fee sign, it comes from that line. The communications line, communication tool line shrunk this year with getting rid of Tiger Society, so that's good. And the graphic design and campaign coordinator office is there as well. Our operations budget. So general operations, things included in that are our general manager's salary, legal fees, insurance, basic things that it takes to run our operation. And the accounting office is a 3-person accounting office that do our books for us. Our technical is everything like projectors in the rooms and everything that societies can borrow to put on your events. Those things are available at no cost or at a chargeback rate that just does cost recovery, so it's just a cost. Computers, we have 40-some computers in the building that we need to maintain, so that takes some money. Our security is everything from alarms to locks that we have to replace in the doors, and it costs some money. The section office is the wages that we pay to staff the section office, and furniture alterations and renovations had to come back this year because the reno is now done, and so we have to start paying to replace things. So, in quick summary, student fees are expected to remain stagnant, as enrollment is. Most of our services are performing worse than originally budgeted, which was not fun, but is a reality, and something that we're working to combat with Greywood Campus Coffee and marketing plans, looking at the future of the farmers market and realities that will have to be faced there. There were several major projects lacking funding, but cutting some inefficient spending has allowed us to expand some important services. So cutting things like Tiger Society made room to expand funding for things like the phone line and to continue the farmers market, things like that. We now have dedicated survivor support funding for the first time, which is great, and we managed to maintain a tiny surplus. Questions?
So just again, as a reminder, this is sort of the between budget, I guess is the way we were discussing it. So the budget that straddles the inherited full year budget from last year and transitioning into the bigger budget that they'll be putting together for everybody for April for the following year. Questions or comments generally or specific for Dylan? So we'll start with Katie and then Aaron.
I just had a question about if you do like a temperature check or like a survey of like services that students pay for to see if they're being, I mean, you can obviously see numbers, so if it's like online, you can see like the traffic of it, but for example, like tiger patrol or like other things that students use all the time, like seeing if they're actually like satisfying their needs or like are worth the money, or like, so taking some sort of like, I can't think of the word right now, like how satisfactory they are for students, like
The survey?
yeah, exactly, like a survey of some sort, to see if like we're putting money in and it's like being wasted or if it's worth it.
No, we don't do that, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, we get data on like usage of those things, but we don't, I mean, we deal with complaints, so we revised the time control service this year, but we don't do regular checks of, I guess, evaluations of the worth of the services that we provide.
It could be, I don't know, moving forward maybe for the committee only because like, I don't know, if like tiger patrol can be really great sometimes, but obviously like it could be like updated and that could be, like you may not know that because if you don't take it all the time, or people really hate the food downstairs and the stuff and really want to see that changed, or blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, that can help you direct where your money is being, or like our money is being budgeted.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just something I always thought about.
Yeah. I mean, if people have concerns, they can always bring them forward. Yeah.
But I mean, like,
No,
instead of just having one person come to your office, like,
Have some
Yeah.
kind of feedback.
yeah, just whether it's helpful or not.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually do those things when we start something, but not to reevaluate them. So yeah,
I don't know.
we work out.
Thanks, Aaron, do you want to?
So general questions. For like the coming years, so like future-wise, when you do put together the bigger budget, the deficit that's occurring with a lot of our food services has been consistent since 2012. Would you have any idea how to combat that?
So you're focusing on the Greywood?
Like not just the Greywood, but
That's the only food service.
but other services. You mentioned the tea room, but
Yeah, that's
Greywood's
just-
been the biggest one. We're steadily
Yeah.
coming out of that deficit. Is that, so I'm trying to understand, is that a deficit per year? And then, like as it's showing here, and you add those together, or are you showing us the change of coming out of that deficit from the growth?
No, so there is one slide on the presentation, not on the presentation, but on the budget that I sent to you that shows year over year.
Yeah,
And
that's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, on that one, you'll see the Greywood one is shrinking. This year, it was expected to shrink a lot more. We haven't seen, the trouble with the revision is that it's based on, for the Greywood anyway, it was only open in September that this budget is based on because it's the only month that had been reconciled for like the department head to structure their revision. So in September, it's also a very hard month to base your budget on because you have a whack of weird expenses like training, but then you have people, like an influx of people coming back that might be spending more money than they're used to. So this was definitely a conservative adjustment on the part of the Greywood because of those those oddities. And so it's coming out of that month, we're seeing the picture is better than this budget would paint, but we don't change it leading up to the revision approval. But looking at changes, this is the first year we're looking at like a consistent Greywood marketing plan. We've done things to tackle like society involvement. We definitely still have room to grow and work to do, but I think we're well on the way to shrinking that deficit that it operates under. I don't know if it will ever be zero, but that's also part of the thing that had been practiced in the DSU before, that subsidizing these things were okay because we're offering these goods to students at a student price. So it's how we operate a lot of our things, like the farmers market, like the Greywood, like Camp's Coffee. But yeah,
So essentially my question would be like, do you think we could get it to a point where it essentially is sustainable to have those subsidized costs?
Yeah, I mean, we've like sustainably been subsidizing it by letting it run a deficit, but I think it could absolutely work toward a lot closer to zero than it has. In its previous setup downstairs, it had broke even when it was in the basement, like in the 2000s.
Yep.
And then moving upstairs, it started to lose money consistently. But yeah, I think it's set up much more for success now. Like we don't have a 10-year plan for the Greywood with these marks, and I don't think that would be reasonable. But we're always trying to shrink that deficit.
Cool. My other question was in the income file, which, here we go, 190, for beverages. Is that coming from the Pepsi?
Yeah.
And what's the update on that contract? 'Cause
So we've signed a contract with Pepsi.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
And so it's just gonna be I know it came up last year, it's just why I'm asking, like, is that?
Yeah, so we did remember I came with around the the bottled water.
Yeah.
It was in my council report, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did re-sign with Pepsi. They offered us a better deal than Coke or anyone else. So they'll be here for 5 more years. And that money is reflective of the money we received from them. It will probably increase from the amount that's budgeted right now, but it wasn't sure at the time of preparation of the budget. So we have to still see how those things have to be accounted for when we receive that money technically. But the agreement is much better than we had in place for the previous 7 years. So we're pretty happy with that.
Cool. No, I just wanted to, I'm remembering it. Just had to ask. That's all I have.
Perfect, thanks. Other questions for Dylan about the budget generally or specific? Yeah.
Yeah, another point of order is I'm obviously I'm your student, that's probably the count, but normally doesn't the student have passed rights? Or has that changed in recent years?
It's a discretionary thing as much as anything else, so I'm happy given that you're the only sort of non-council member here to allow you to speak. But we do have to limit it to allow councilors to represent their constituencies in speaking as well. But yeah, because there were no other questions at the table, I'm happy to take another question.
Okay. Other than student fees, we have the revenue. Am I correct? It was 46% going to revenue.
Going to this budget.
Other than the 4.2.
No. So that student fee income is the 46% of the 72, 78 that each student pays. So of the 72, 78 that each student pays, 46% of that goes to the student fee revenue, and that totals 1.2 million. Yeah.
Okay, so per student, that's like what? Was I around the
51, if you want to go to the student fee breakdown.
Yep.
Oh, you're on it, Jesus, yeah. Sorry, 33.57.
It's 33.57 for full-time student that pays into, okay.
Yeah,
The renovations
17.
is here, so it's $12.50 per student for the renovation. And
So
$33
17.
for general operations.
No, I know it's $70-some, okay, just in simple math, when you, the student fees like $75, let's say.
Yep.
Okay, so out of the $75, how much of that goes to renovation funds? Is it $12.50?
12.50, 17%.
Well, no, that's good, because, and that makes sense, all right, because for me, for myself, because I was here when we did the referendum on the renovations of the student union building, and the students were going to pay $25 if the referendum passed. If the referendum failed in an elections, which is fair, and so it was $12.50. Okay, so I was wondering, I was thinking 46% of that, that's a lot of money, but that's not $12.50. Okay, that's, thank you, and I hope that the student watching this video understands that for what they're getting, it's actually, that's a lot of value for what they're getting. That we're actually supporting ourselves, not the university thing. Okay. So the Greywood, so we saw The other question is, we sell alcohol to the societies as a discount, and the societies can afford to have it.
We don't sell it at a discount, we sell it at cost, but we have some costs related to it because we have to do check-ins and things like that, so
Right.
we take in some staff hours and we just
Yeah.
basically eat that,
Right.
so that we can provide societies with
Okay.
alcohol costs.
My question would be, why wouldn't we just have the societies have their events at the Greywood?
We try to, so we try to facilitate them, but some folks like engineering don't want to move into campus bars, and so we're trying to support them in what they want to do and sell them the beer instead and make sure they operate safely and let them do their thing.
And how much money did the Greywood lose?
In total, we would have to, yeah, we would have to, like, take away bar services, I guess, or sorry, take away food services.
So you just want the Greenwood?
If you total, yeah, if you did like sum
Yeah,
of
like
250,
Oh, I gotta enable editing, sorry.
Be like
Okay.
607.
Where did we go?
Mitch, you've got accounting tape tomorrow, you can.
Crunch these numbers net surplus and deficit, yeah, the 26th, yeah.
Oh, sorry, what is at the top of the line? It's not logged, so
Sorry,
I can't
if
see.
you do the sum of the nets,
You just need the 26 and the 31.
Oh, okay. Oh, those two, okay.
It's like 57,000.
Sorry. Great economics degree here, yeah.
You only added one cell.
Like I said.
it'd be, what, 57,000? 57,000. Yeah,
$57,000 is what our Greywood lost.
yes.
Okay. And, right. The only reason I bring that up
I understand, I just,
is that a lot of
keyboard doesn't work the same
criticism
as
can be made that I do support our student union moving to our own food service run. My concern is that in the long run, and in another couple of years, a lot of you will not be here to be another student union council. And for continuing on, so that students don't run into these problems and deficits, the important thing is the Greywood is a very good lesson for us to learn. Because what happens is we get management stuff in there, we get people in there we can't remove, they get larger salaries, and I'm guessing that a large portion of that goes to our manager of the Greywood and the staff. Because technically a campus bar, in my opinion, shouldn't lose money. And the disappointing fact is, and the real criticism I have is I will give you the acknowledgement that the Greywood did go under major construction. And I have to put that on, that if it's a business isn't operating, it's not going to generate revenue. That's fair. But given the fact that we have a new Greywood, that, and it's brand new, it takes time to grow a business, but it's actually a very inviting atmosphere. But I'm just disappointed because there was a lot of information and we wasted the first month and a half of the term talking about the phone line for sexual assault survivors. And we can lose money on a bar, but we can't support students who need support to get home from campuses. And I know we do support them, but I'm just saying this is like a huge spot on us that needs to change.
I mean, honestly, like in the last 3 months, we've seen revenue in the Greenwood double from last year, which is really good. And that's what I mean by this budget is based on September, and things, thankfully, in at least the Greenwood circumstances, have gotten better since then. So I wouldn't expect that our financial statements would reflect this amount of money being lost, but I do understand what you're saying, and budgets are about priorities, as everyone likes to say. So if this is the first time that we've dedicated survivor support funding and used special projects in the fall to fund phone line activities, and so happy that it's the first time that we're doing it, but it's definitely not all we need to do. You know, unfortunately, in a revision time, you can't shift everything the way you want to, and I'm excited.
There's a bit of line there, and I agree, though, I'm only bringing up, I only want to bring up a couple things. I'm trying to help you guys. I don't want to criticize the council. You guys are great. I mean, this is our student union, and it's for our students. It's not about me and an agenda or anything. It's just that there's just certain things like I don't speak out and bring it up to the council, and just, you know, just don't know this is a place to bring it up.
Yep, no, I appreciate your comments again. I will turn it back to council now in case any folks have questions. I know Dylan has regular office hours, so further conversations like this that are one-on-one, Dylan's more than happy to continue those conversations.
Yeah.
So thanks.
No, that's all I have.
So any other questions or comments about the budgets for Dylan? So we'll start with Aaron and then Mary.
Hey, I know you said that Pepsi was the one that came in lowest, so that's why the contract was awarded to them, but did we screen that with the whole, I know you're talking about the UN kind of being the model for investing like future, things like that, would that apply to contracts like that? Like, is that the most green option even though it's the cheapest?
No, it doesn't. So Pepsi didn't come in the lowest, like they came in with like the best offer for us, so based on like price to students and like they pay the student union to be able to sell in the building. But no, the ethical investment policy wouldn't guide our contract decisions, but that wouldn't be the worst choice. Yeah.
The policy didn't exist when you voted on it.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't anyway, but it still wouldn't apply to it, but maybe it should be expanded. That's
Just a thought.
yeah.
Other questions? We'll go to Mary and then anyone else.
I just wanted to say that the George Elder counselors and our past president emailed back to say thanks for such a transparent budget. This was the most transparent one we've seen in a couple years. Some props.
Just like water.
Is it because it's in Comic Sans?
No.
I can get a comment about the
I
comic
didn't
sans
even
also.
notice until you said that.
Don't encourage him.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Sean?
I just had a question about the print shop. Did it lose money because the prices are off, or there were too many mistakes? Was there a reason for that?
No, so the expenses are the exact same. The revenues have just fallen. So from
Okay.
the basement to the move upstairs, somehow customers got lost or something. One real thing we did see was a huge decline in, what are they called? Books that professors get made, all the reading, course packs. So those went from like usually 30 a semester to 2 this semester, just off a cliff. So that's really affecting revenue up there. But yeah, it's not like the expenses haven't increased, it's the same amount of staff hours. Now we're looking at ways to shrink those expenses based on the revenues that we've been seeing, but also trying to get those revenues up through a marketing plan and stuff like that.
Also, I think it was effective when it went through the temporary space change. So when it was under renovation that whole time, it moved up to that awkward 302 spot, and then it moved. So it's just getting it back on track. The same as the Greywood, right? We've seen that spike, so we'll see what things.
Just directly, does the student union run the one in the LC? The
Yeah.
LC?
The university runs it.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully these businesses will start to do better, even if it's just from people getting used to where they are. Those can affect business.
Okay, any other questions or comments for Dylan on the December proposed budget? Okay, one last call for questions from council. Okay, do we have a motion to approve Dylan's budget as circulated and discussed? Okay, Katie, and a second on that motion? Mo, perfect. All those in favor of approving the budget as circulated and discussed, raise your black right side. Okay, passes on majority. Congratulations, Dylan. So we are going to circulate the executive reports in a digital form. I think some of the exec have printed copies if folks would prefer that as well. But in the interest of time, I know folks said that they wanted to get back to exam stuff because that season was upon us. Do we?
Can we maybe just have a question period?
Yeah, sure. We'll do,
Yeah.
for exec stuff or?
Yeah, because I think we're not going to do a formal report this cancel meeting so folks can get back to exams, but if people had specific questions they wanted to bring up, that could be cool. Yeah.
Any questions from counselors for the exec generally? We'll get into announcements and notices and stuff more formally in a bit. But otherwise, you'll get a digital copy of all of the reports tonight. You'll be able to send questions via email as well if you have questions over the next few days. Okay, so we'll move on to notices of motion then. Committee notices of motion for our next meeting, which will be in January. And there are some items that we've sort of been tabling that we will get to in January as well. So if you want to make a reminder for those, feel free, but don't feel you need to. I've got a list of things that we've been sort of discussing already to come forward that I'll be sending notices out to students and counselors about as well. Aaron, did you want to speak to the status of your?
I have a revised version to send it to you.
Sure,
Send it out.
I can send that away.
You know, everybody wants to get back. I know Bart's gonna be happy that it's tabled. So what was I gonna say? Would it be a good idea to have a separate discussion on this? Like in the new year, like before,
Prior to any kind of
prior
formal
to,
motion?
yeah.
Sure, yeah, I think that would be.
I don't know, I'll throw that out there. I mean, a couple of them, like community discussions have gone kind of flat
Okay.
without much participation, so I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I mean, I'll leave it to you, Aaron, whenever it is that you feel comfortable that you're ready to bring a formal motion. If that's not for a couple meetings into the new year, that's fine. Obviously, you can take time to just have a discussion first meeting back and assess that for yourself and see what you do. Yeah, Aaron?
I think it would probably be good for people to have some context of like what's behind the motion and stuff, so it might be good to have discussion.
Any other comments or questions for Aaron or other notices of motion for January?
So maybe I'll add to what I'll send, like maybe some links that people can reference,
Okay.
like what happened or what went on.
And I'm happy to circulate the most up-to-date draft of a proposed motion that you would have.
Yep.
And then if you don't want to actually bring that forward as a motion at the first meeting, but you just want folks to have it to see sort of how you're thinking.
No, I will, I think we should put it forward soon.
Okay. Mackenzie?
I actually just had a question about this motion that I wanted to talk to my constituency about.
Sure.
So if this motion passes, does that preclude levied or faculty societies from participating in Pride, or just the DSU?
We can't govern that. It would just be the DSU.
Where, yeah, I know we participated, we had a semi-float or were part of it. And so we would take a stance and not be a part of that during Pride Week. Any booths promoting DSU, whatever.
Yeah, so it's just, normally the DSU partners with the university and sits on the committee that plans the DAL Pride events and the DAL float that goes in Pride, and we are very public by having our banner there with our logo there and everything like that. And we dedicate resources to that. So yeah, it would just excel the DSU, but it wouldn't. I don't think it would excel societies. But we could obviously have that discussion when we discuss the motion too.
Okay, other discussions or questions for Aaron on that point or other notices of motion for January? Yeah, question or comment?
Oh, just,
If it's about Aaron's motion,
no, I don't want to comment on that. I just wanted to add something to the agenda for next year.
well, we can discuss that. Yeah, I can talk to you with that after the meeting. This is just sort of from counselors setting any notice stuff. No worries on that. It's all good.
Okay.
So any other notices of motion for things coming down the pipe from the table? Yeah.
I do have a quick question. The King Student Union, KSU, they just came out with a letter of support for the Nova Scotia Teachers Union. And I was wondering if the feels were around the table, or if the union also wanted to put out a letter of support. Don't really know if you want to participate in that political scramble, but I don't know. You have to be within the week.
Yeah, I think that doesn't have to be something that's at council, but we, as an executive, already talked about that, like,
Okay.
we were at the protest a couple days ago, so like we can,
You put it,
Let me put out a statement.
but just, okay.
Yeah.
That's it?
but we
Like-
can, like, I just, because we, like, if it was still ongoing in the next council meeting,
Yeah.
we could, you know what I'm trying to say?
No,
like, it's
yeah,
not-
no, I just thought I'd bring it up now just because if
No, that's-
anybody was really opposed to teachers striking. That's
Aaron?
something the university can, or sorry, the executive can decide on it. Yeah.
I mean, if it's any more reassuring, Nova Scotia universities have come out publicly saying this would not affect high school students looking into Nova Scotia schools. That's not to say that, you know, the U of T's of the world are going to give a shit about the strike kind of thing. You get what I'm saying? Because it's a big issue for grade 12s in this province, who this affects their schooling and their ability to say ask for a reference
Oh, to go to post-secondary.
post-secondary, that transition year. Not so much the younger grades, but it's a big impact on the grade 12 to university. And so our provincial schools have come out and said, because of the strike, this won't affect your admissions, but it does affect. So if that's reassuring, like saying Dal's aware that this is a thing and that students may not have, say, that reference for that scholarship kind of thing.
Nah, I was just like talking more in support of like being angry at the government, so that's pretty much it.
Okay, any other notices of motion or prospective items for our first meeting back in January? Yeah, Bill?
We'll have really exciting presentations from myself and Chartwell's, our current student providers, in the 2 meetings in January, I'm expecting. So one will be to try and convince you to stay with Chartwell's, and one will be hopefully convincing you not to stay with Chartwell's. And so if anyone has questions about food services and would like to know more in between then, it's better to have more people with knowledge in the room than not, but if not, that's fair. It's boring.
Okay, any other final notices of motion or items perspective for the next meeting in January? Okay, so for announcements, our next council meeting will be January 11th. That's the first Wednesday back, which means that you'll be getting your council notice package on the Sunday for your notice. So do try to review the materials. We're going to have a decent amount of small items, I think. Lots of stuff that has sort of been accumulating as we've had bigger items to get through some of these fall meetings. Thank you to everybody for coming out again tonight and for your sort of ongoing attendance at council. The attendance has been really good compared to the last couple of years, just across the board, which is great to see, especially given the amount of policy stuff we had to work through this year. Mitch and Noreen, be sure to speak with Dylan and Rhiannon about that committee, because I think they want to meet next week or sometime in the next couple of weeks. And good luck, everybody, on your exams, any finals that you have. Hope everyone has relaxing holidays, relaxing time off. Otherwise, are there any other announcements? Dylan, how much pizza is left?
Some pizza.
Some
Please take
We
any
can
pizza.
put it in the study space.
If you want pizza, please take pizza. If you're going to throw it out, don't take it. We'll put it in the study space.
Any other final announcements? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Kathleen, and a seconder on the motion to adjourn. Came in like a rocket. Dylan. Any opposition to adjourning? Okay, I'll take that on unanimous consent. Thanks everyone for coming.
Well done, you.